I'm not a little boy any longer. I don't have to go running with the machine.
Charles, hurry up. We're leaving.
Coming, Mummy.
I would like a treat. I would like a treat. The Queen would like a treat.
The Opinion Corner.
Hello there, Babs and Babettes, and welcome back to the S.B.E. channel. And today we're going to talk about HBO's The Prince. The new HBO series is written by Gary Janetti. Gary Janetti has also worked on things such as Family Guy, and there are a few similarities which we'll go into. But with this series, there are some good bits, but there is one major problem which I believe is causing a lot of the backlash. So let's go into this and discuss The Prince.
Great. I feel a shit brewing.
I do want to start this video off by saying that I am actually quite a fan of Seth MacFarlane's work with his Family Guy series. And I actually really like Family Guy, American Dad. I like those shows. I'm more of a fan of classic comedy myself. I like things such as The Two Ronnies, Morecambe and Wise, Ken Dodd, a ton of other shows. But from classical comedy. It's just the type of comedy I'm into. But I do enjoy Family Guy, American Dad. And in many ways, this series does have a lot of Family Guy humour, which, you know, from a comedic standpoint, is actually okay. And the animation is great. I love the animation in the series. It's a very good-looking series. I'm also into political satire, so Spitting Image is a show that I watch regularly. And with a show dealing with the royal family, this is not the first show that has done satire in regards to our monarchy. There have been quite a few shows that have been satirical about the royal family. And a few sketches done by several comedians.
One's really very glad one did Who Does One Think One Is?
Prince Albert.
And was he named after the gentleman's piercing?
Oh, buggeration. Sorry, mate. You're in the infantry this trip. And not much for me to stick around for here. I mean, you're getting married.
Yes. Yes, I am, unless someone were to stop me.
Oh, well, that would be a very mean thing to do.
And in fact, even on The Simpsons, they had the Queen and other royal-type satire.
Okay, I'm gonna go over there and see if they're cool. Lady, please, get back in your overturned car.
We'll deal with him, Your Majesty.
Your Majesty?
Dad, you rear-ended the Queen of England.
The Queen of what?
So satire is something that if you are a politician or within the royal family or monarchy, it is something that is an accepted part of that job. It just comes along with it. And in fact, much of it is just water off a duck's back, and it's mostly done just for a comedic setting or view. It's not done to be malicious or damaging. Some are, but rarely when it comes to the royal family or the monarchy, it has been done to be quote-unquote damaging or malicious. The thing about satire is it does come along with the job, and the monarchy does learn to obviously deal with it. I'm sure there's been even times that Queen Elizabeth has chuckled at a few of her representations herself. And obviously with an animated show like this that's going to be watched by the younger generation, it does mean that the monarchy has that, it maintains a relevancy in the media or with younger people, because it's a series that's going to be watched primarily by younger audiences. Which means, for one or two of them, they may think, oh, I'd actually like to research into the royal family or its history. They're not going to look at this series and say they're actually like this. They're actually portraying the real royal family. Because it's point blank evident that that's not what this is. It's a comedy series, it's satire, it exaggerates so much of the royal family, and in fact has no relevancy to their actual personalities or who they actually are. It just doesn't. And it is plainly obvious that's what this is. It's written by a Family Guy writer. So there is that. So in that sense, I don't actually think this series is dangerous. I think a much more dangerous series is things such as The Crown. Now, The Crown on Netflix portrays what happens in that series as history. It says it's historical accuracy. Now, yes, it has historical elements to it that are accurate, but the majority of The Crown is not historical. It's not historically accurate. It's not portraying certain people in that series to what they actually were or were like. And there is a lot that can be said for the things that are wrong with The Crown. And the problem with that is it portrays it as history when it isn't. So that's the dangerous one. This is just an animated series of satire and comedic sketches based around the royal family, which plays no relevance into what actually happened or their personalities. And it's plainly obvious. So I think The Crown is much more dangerous in that sense, that it portrays it as truth. Whereas The Prince portrays it as a comedy series written by a guy who wrote for Family Guy. That being said, this series, The Prince, has got a heck of a lot of backlash. I think there are actually a few reasons to this. Now, you will notice in the sketches that I've used in this video that they are all about the adult royal family, the adult members, because as you grow up in the public spotlight, you learn how to deal with satire. However, the main character of The Prince is Prince George, who is a real-life 8-year-old child. And this is where I'm going to change my tune about the series a little bit, because this is where I also hold the problem of an 8-year-old child being the star of this sort of political satiric comedy series that portrays George in not a very nice light, and doesn't portray them all in a great light, to be honest. And this is where I think it's bad. And this is why the backlash has happened. So now I want to discuss a little bit about this. There is a resemblance and similarity between Prince George and Stewie Griffin. And I would say that that was the idea behind the character of Prince George. He could be the royal family's Stewie Griffin. There's a difference here, Gary Janetti. Stewie Griffin is a made-up character that doesn't exist. Prince George is a real-life boy who is still growing up, still going through education, and millions of people are going to see this series. And they're going to see this series mocking both the royal family and also Prince George. I am a firm believer that children should be allowed to be children. I think there is so much at the moment in modern day that is simply not appropriate. Allow kids to be kids. Making political satire such as this, basing it around Prince George, who is a real-life 8-year-old kid, still growing up, still learning, still in education, I think it's completely wrong, and that's why this series has got the backlash, and in my opinion, it's rightfully so got the backlash that it has got. And I will also just point out that if this had been the other way around, if this had been a series and the star of the series was, say, Archie, this series would never have been released. And that is what really annoys me, because we know for a fact if this had been about Archie, this series would never have got off the ground. But because it's Prince George, apparently that's fine. It may be very, very embarrassing for George, even when he's with his friends or family, that he is being portrayed in this way on television. Now, if he was older, you know, he may have found a bit of humour in it, but as a kid who has to deal with that kind of representation, or the stuff that series is portraying as him of doing, it could be incredibly embarrassing. The reason I say HBO are hypocrites is because recently they have been cancelling a lot of comedy shows and not broadcasting them anymore, due to the fact that they may not be either completely PC, or may cause some offence to some viewers. They cancel them for that matter, but then they're more than happy to send out an animated series, and the main star being a real-life 8-year-old child who is being mocked within the series. So where on earth does HBO think their moral compass stands? Hypocritical. No matter which way you pull it, it is hypocritical. Mind you, in that being said, unfortunately, that is modern-day Hollywood in a nutshell. HBO used to come out with some decent stuff. I mean, look at Chernobyl. That was a phenomenal series by HBO. What I think is sad is that they're more than happy to mock a real-life 8-year-old boy, and I can't really get over that fact, and then cancel other shows for not being completely PC or possibly offensive. But they can mock an 8-year-old boy, because regardless of who Prince George is, he is still a child, no matter what. And he should be allowed to be a child without worrying about a series like this. This is where the backlash is coming from. There is no surprise that there has been this much backlash against HBO for this series. If this had just been about the adult, royal family members who have dealt with this all their lives, they know how to deal with it, may even have a chuckle at some of it now and again. But for an 8-year-old boy to go and see this, I really hope he doesn't see this. I really hope his friends don't see this. But for him to have to be put through this at such a young age, and also to be having to deal with that as well, and work out ways of dealing with this sort of satiric comedy at such a young and important age, at 8 years old. It's just, no, I think it completely, it missed the mark. It went over the line. Now, I did give the series some praise at the beginning of this video. I was saying about some of the good bits, but this is, I can't really look past the fact that Prince George is being portrayed in this sense. And it's not so much of, I can't look at it and find stuff funny about it, because there are funny bits and bobs in there, such as the clip of Prince Charles when he runs out saying mummy. Now, Prince Charles even says mummy back in the 2012 Jubilee celebrations on stage, because he knows that's a running joke. So, they also have a sense of comedy and humour about this. But it's just gone, for me, it went over the line a bit with Prince George. And I understand why it has got so much backlash. And to be honest, I really think they should have just left the children out. And it's not just Prince George. I should mention it's all 3 of Prince William's children that are in this. And I don't think it's right. I just think kids should be left out of this type of thing. Now, before anyone makes the point in the comments below, I would just like to say that I am more than aware that Prince George has had to deal, ever since he was born, with the press and the tabloids and the media. But there is a difference here. Because with the press, the tabloids and the media, that usually entails the fact that it does not usually directly mock or take the mickey out of Prince George, Prince Louis, or Princess Charlotte. Usually the kids are allowed to be kids. There might be some articles in regards to what they're doing or things that they might be up to, things such as that. And Prince George will be more than aware of this. But this series directly mocks Prince George, Princess Charlotte, and Prince Louis. Directly. That's the difference. And I'm sure that Prince William and Duchess Kate, they try to keep all 3 of them out of the media spotlight as much as they can. And they are very protective over this matter. And I believe that Prince William will also have taught Prince George about the press, the tabloids, and how to deal with them. And on many occasions, just plain ignore them. But I am more than aware of that. But this series is directly mocking them. That's to me, is the difference. It is directly at them. So yes, that is just some of my thoughts on the Prince series. I haven't finished the series as of yet, but I will continue watching. And I may give a more in-depth look into the episodes in a later video. But as for now, Babs and Babettes, this is just a couple of my first thoughts. And, the fact that when it comes to comedy and satire, sometimes it is needed. Sometimes, as long as it's not malicious or supposed to be damaging, then comedy is comedy. But I think with this, it just went over the line, and that's the reason it's got the backlash with, obviously, Prince George and his sister and brother. So, yeah, it's just a couple of my first thoughts. I hope you enjoyed the video. I know I had to do a video about this, but there may be a more in-depth one, and you never know, there might be a Crown video done at some point. But I'm waiting until the series ends, if I'm honest. So you could be waiting a while for that one. That one will be an in-depth look into that series. But as for now, Babs and Babettes, I hope you liked my video, and as always, it's just my own personal, my opinion, my view, but I hope you liked it nonetheless. Do like, subscribe, go and like the Facebook page, the link is in the description below, and also, don't forget to hit that notification bell. As for now, Babs and Babettes, I shall say, keep calm, carry on, stay positive, and I shall see you in the next video. Tatty tatty bye, toodaloo, God save the Queen!